And here comes our YouTuber now! Her last name is now Sherman, but she kept the initial of her maiden name because it's a funnier letter. It's Athena P! Oh hi, I'm Athena P, and my intro is a little off-putting, but it's tradition at this point, so I have to do it to ya, butt lovers. Here in the Lore series, we usually do shows no one else is brave enough to, but this particular show actually has a lot of videos already dedicated to it. Why is that? I think it's because for a kids demographic, the format is fresh. There's not a lot of kids game shows. And you may be thinking to yourself, what are you talking about, idiot? What about Double Dare? Guts? Legends of the Hidden Temple, all those Nickelodeon game shows. No guys, I mean a show where the contestants don't change all season. The competition lasts all season. While I was consuming Nickelodeon brain rot, PBS kids were being enriched, as usual, with Fetch with Ruff Ruffman. The titular character— I meant the titular bitchular. What the fuck was that? Ruff Ruffman is the host, and 6 real live-action human kids, 3 boys, 3 girls, compete in the show called Fetch. This show aired from 2006 to 2010 and ran for 5 seasons, totaling 100 episodes. And for this video, I watched every single one for the first time. Here's how this lore will differ. Yes, I will cover the challenges as it is the main plot, but I also want to overanalyze this cartoon dog's life. It's my job, it's what I'm made to do. TV Tropes calls Ruff Ruffman the spiritual successor to Zoom. Zoom was also Boston-based and aired on a PBS-affiliated channel. Zoom ran from 1972 to 1978, and then had a revival from 1999 to 2005. Zoom had different crafts and activities suggested by the viewers at home and tried by real kids, encouraging the kids at home to try for themselves if they see something they want to do. Defunctland's video did a wonderful job explaining the cultural factors that led to Zoom's drop in ratings, as well as the process of repurposing Zoom-like activities for Fetch. Definitely give that a watch after you see me spiral about the plot. Now, Defunctland does not need my plug. And as always, my videos are not intended for kids. Miranda Cosgrove, say it with me. I actually do cuss a little. Let's dissect the first episode. Fabulously entertaining TV with a canine host. What could go wrong? The first person we see Ruff Ruffman talking to is his boss, Henry, over the phone, and he is stressing Ruff out. Ruff Ruffman is running behind on planning this TV show, and he's pleading with Henry to give him more time. We hear that Henry is the head of the network. I was wondering if there was an in-universe TV station this show aired on, but my question was soon answered after the bop of a theme song when we see Ruff name PBS by name and thank viewers like us. Like you. This season of Ruff Ruffman was also sponsored by Arby's, so hopefully they have the meats. Actually, ew, I hate that. The moment Ruff Ruffman realized he was on the air right then and there, he sprung into Showtime mode. Surprisingly confident, as frantic as he is. Around Ruff's mission control doghouse, we see a note from his mom, takeout boxes, flowers, a dog toy he trips over, and more. Ruff Ruffman introduces us to the show Fetch with Ruff Ruffman, and this giant invention he calls the Fetch 3000. He describes it as an expensive and fragile device that is the heart of their show before accidentally spilling a shit ton of water on it. Ruh-roh. He has to cut to technical difficulties on his very first broadcast before cutting back to him slightly charred after electrocuting himself. Him trying to hold down the fort is this meme. We cut to a live-action studio where we meet our contestants called Fetchers. They sit in front of a screen and hear instructions from Ruff Ruffman. Ruff Ruffman's voice actor, Jim Conroy, has a lot of the plans scripted, but he ad-libbed to answer kids' questions and joke with them. And obviously all of the contestants are completely unscripted. Or so I thought. I mean, they are unscripted, but you'll hear how silly the timeline is later. I took my notes here in order. I was so ignorant. We don't hear about how any of these contestants heard about this brand new show, or anything like that, but the banter starts immediately as the kids critique studio Studio G for being in a garage. And Ruff Ruffman tells him to pipe down. It's a professional studio. Now, if anybody besides this cute animated dog were hosting the show, this environment would be a little creepy. They get their mission from the mailbox and they're told to go fetch. The entire group of kids doesn't go every time. Each episode focuses on different combinations of kids and sometimes solo missions until all the points are tallied at the end of the season and we have a winner. During the halftime show, the kids that stayed in Studio G all day get the chance to win points with a quiz all about what the kids on the challenges are doing. It's a memory game since you're stuck watching people who are having more fun than you. The first episode's challenge was no joke one of the most difficult ones of the entire series. It was a scavenger hunt where you had to find every planet in the solar system scattered throughout Boston using puzzles and hints. A lot of these hidden planets were so far away they had to take boats and bikes. These kids were exploring so much of Boston and they were timed. It's like Baby Amazing Race. They are chugging water, reading clues out of breath. Khalil was definitely the brains of the operation. He figured out basically everything. He was figuring out things I wouldn't at my grown age. I am ranking every challenge based on how well I think I would do as a 26-year-old, and we are not off to a strong start. I would only complete this challenge if I had a team player like Khalil carrying everyone on his back. I am so embarrassed. By the end, the kids even get exasperated and slightly pissed off at Ruff Ruffman, and I do not blame them because by the time they got to Pluto, after so much work, he throws a new challenge at them. They had to convert the distance and make a smaller scale model of the solar system. I shit you not, I've been out of school too long and my brain is mush. I'm not proud of this, okay? These kids deserved way more than 85 points for this. These children were robbed. But now let's talk about the cartoony shenanigans that take place when Ruff is acting as an announcer for this show. Like the moment where he had to reboot the Fetch 3000, and to do that, he put on a boot and kicked it. Oh my god. And more concerningly, when this taxi driver hits a huge bump, Ruff Ruffman very seriously asked if that was his cousin, and then he goes off to call his cousin to make sure he wasn't hit by a car.
Oh, that wasn't my cousin. I better call him.
He was only slightly worried. You'd think he'd be mortified. So even though these dogs can talk and have jobs like humans, they are completely desensitized to hit and runs, and I find that quite sad. But Ruff Ruffman does have a mug that's shaped like a dog bowl, which I find very cute. This machine, the Fetch 3000, really runs the show the first season. It always decides which children to send on the challenges so the dog can take none of the blame. In episode 5 of season 1, we also see that it can act as a time machine / teleportation device. They always have fun workarounds for when Ruff can't reach out to the children on a phone. For example, in episode 7, when it was a water-based challenge, he talked to them through a walkie-talkie on a little toy boat with a rubber duck. Sure, of course. But how did it get there mid-episode? Oh, the Fetch 3000 is a teleportation device. I love the idea that PBS got so blindsided that they hired a dog, but then put billions of dollars towards this tech so Ruff can do whatever he wants on the fly. Maybe that's why they're stuck with a garage for the studio. The theme song will claim, "I didn't wait to renovate," but I think this is how it really went down. Henry, my guy. So I found the 6 contestants. Yeah, they're all great. And the Fetch 3000 works like a charm. I only almost broke it once. Today. So for the kids' studio, since we can't exist in the same dimension, we have to have 2 separate places. Anyway, I was thinking almost what looks like a spaceship. What do you mean? We ran out of money. No budget? Not me figure it out. Speaking of, in episode 10, the Fetch 3000 actually forced Ruff Ruffman to stay on budget. In this episode, Ruff kept impulse buying, and after accumulating a lot of debt and not learning his lesson, the Fetch 3000 decided to take his shopping catalog and shred it. In season 1, episode 12, we see just how complicated this tech is. The Fetch 3000 has a button only to be pressed when the contestants do something unprecedented.
Press only after granting unprecedented request from contestants button.
This was after they asked if they can continue their challenge the next day. It feels like they were fed lines for this particular section, but anyway, Ruff pressed this button and we skipped forwards in time. Was the Fetch 3000 editing the game show footage? Or did this machine literally fast forward us through time? From a realistic production standpoint, I don't know why they chose to film this across 2 separate days when all the other challenges were filmed in a day, unless the conditions changed. In this episode, they need to build a flotation device out of garbage, so I suspect the weather changed and or the water got too rocky. Regardless, they went full throttle with these sci-fi elements so that kids at home wouldn't wonder why. Wait, that doesn't make sense from a competitive standpoint. None of the other challenges got a break halfway through. Don't you think this is unfair? Hey, I'm the talking dog host of this show, and I actually think it's really fine and cool that they needed to rest, so yeah, I'll allow it. Oh, okay. In season 1, episode 15, we see the Fetch 300 for the first time, which are just these old T-Mobile sidekicks. Ruff says these devices are hooked up to the Fetch 3000.
Each judge can award 15 points to one team. It's been sent into the Fetch 3000, who is computing the scores right now.
Why couldn't they have just called Ruff with their answers? I don't know, dude. Maybe he just didn't want to count up the votes. This guy is super reliant on his robot technology, and nowhere is that clearer than in that spin-off series that we'll get to later. When the connection is choppy in episode 19, Ruff exclaims that there's something wrong with the Fetch satellite. NASA doesn't get back to him quick enough to fix it, so he thinks of giving these Fetchers a space-themed challenge so they can fix the satellite for him. These kids need to unionize. Luckily, it wasn't the satellite having trouble at all. Ruff Ruffman, being the slob that he is, didn't realize a chicken wing he ate got in the Fetch 3000. In the season 3 premiere cold open, we see that Ruff Ruffman is trying out this new smell-o-vision technology to sell to the masses. He always has some failed business venture. This one seemed like it was gonna go really well. In fact, the White House tested this technology. But as soon as they turned on the TV, Ruff got sprayed by a skunk and the president was furious. So PBS stunk up the White House and the president was furious. With everything going on right now, I wish they'd fucking do it again. In season 4, episode 18, we see a dog grooming attachment to the Fetch 3000, and dude, is this robot about to go rogue? Because they're taking out patches of Ruff's fur violently. He is screaming with fear and pain. The tech only got worse as the series progressed. As I said, we are going to place how well I think I would do at these challenges as a fully grown adult on a tier list. You know why? Because I want to honor the way people watched when this was first airing. Because back in the day, from what I've heard, every kid watching imagined themselves competing on the show. But first, how does Ruff even come up with these challenges? In the second episode, appropriately named Good Dancing and Bad Breath, we hear about Ruff's crush on the next door neighbor poodle, Charlene, for the first time. But she says his breath stinks. Girl has no interest in him. And Ruff Ruffman, like any rational dude, sends the children to prove that dogs' mouths are cleaner than humans, which is very different from the solar system challenge. And I also don't even know how this helps him. Like, Charlene the poodle didn't say she'd rather date a human, she just said you smell like shit. The challenge is for Brian and Anna to talk to a dentist and compare human teeth to dog teeth so Ruff could make his way into Charlene's heart. I think I'd do well at this challenge, but I wouldn't want to do it. Don't force me into playing wingman for you while putting down my own species in the process. In my notes here, I wrote, keep your personal life out of this, bud. This is just the beginning. They establish right away that Ruff is a bit of a rascal, and Ruff's plan backfires. Because of their incredibly small sample size, they came to the conclusion that humans' mouths are cleaner, which goes against everything Google says. The other challenge of episode 2 is Khalil and Julia learning ballroom dancing. Another way Ruff weaseled in his personal life because he's trying to ask Charlene out dancing. I do think it's a smart way to combine the cartoony world with the game show. There's a method to the madness, I think. The ballroom dancing challenge is going at the top of my tier list. I think I would crush this. I think I would do better than the children.
Wow.
At the end of episode 2, Ruff said he doesn't need Charlene to dance, and dances with cardboard cutouts of himself. A cope if I ever did see one, because in the very next episode, he's trying to ask her out on a date again. In episode 3, Anna is learning hip-hop alone. She learns about the culture behind the music and dance. She learns how to record scratch. Even though the teachers are amazing and Anna is having fun, I would humiliate myself.
See the way I'm walking, with one of my arms lower than the other and my foot dragging? Well, That's hip-hop.
Oh my god.
Meanwhile, Noah, Khalil, and Julia are learning about how to feed zoo animals. They have to guess which animal eats what. I would love this challenge. Top of the list. All of these challenges are a lot more fun and easier than the solar system one. I really committed to this tier list thing early because I thought all of the challenges would be at that level. At this point, the only thing that makes me sad is when is Taylor gonna leave the garage? She hasn't been on a challenge yet.
This is the garage! This is the garage!
Noah and Brian's challenge for episode 4 is they need to build and fly a kite. It was the first challenge the kids did not complete. They had to keep the kite in the air for 5 minutes.
That's impossible!
The best airtime they got was a little over 30 seconds, and so they pivoted the challenge to land this treat on this landing square. They could not.
You failed to maintain a kite aerial status of 5 minutes.
Taylor and Anna's challenge is to make a commercial for the Ruff Ruffman TV show featuring a cat. I'd be bad at the kite one, good at the cat one. Next. Episode 5 is the first challenge where they all go. They have to experience an average day in the 17th century. Boys versus girls, and with the weight of representing my entire gender, I think I'd crush this. Maybe. There were a lot of challenges, from making flour, cleaning cow shit, milking a goat, chopping wood, and this gardening challenge, where they had to use a watering jug from 1627. The boys lost the gardening challenge, so now they have to make beds out of hay while the girls get a fully furnished room. As Brian is sewing the hay mattress shut, he gets vulnerable. He says, "I'm having a really tough time with this." And you'll never believe what Ruff Ruffman says.
I'm having a really tough time with this.
It doesn't matter, Brian.
He actually says something about Brian's hat being cool afterwards. So I guess he was trying to suppress this kid's frustration by saying, "You may be angry, but at least you look fabulous." Keep this in your back pocket. Ruff Ruffman's patience is wearing thin, and he can hold a grudge against the wrong people. In episode 6, Taylor, Noah, and Brian had to make a music video. And normally I'd say I'm pretty good at this skill. I mean, from the YouTube video that brought you a puppet smoking and beating up paparazzi, I know how to paint a scene and tell a compelling story. But they had to direct their grandparents in the music video, and that's why I'm putting this in, I don't know, B tier. Maya Ya hates being on camera.
Nobody asked.
The grandparents were so cute, and the in-universe reason they were included is also cute. So Ruff Ruffman had a celebrity cameo fall through, so he was scrambling to find a loophole for this mandatory celebrity cameo, and he said to his boss, "You told me to get somebody easily recognizable to the kids, and their grandparents are easily recognizable. Checkmate." How did this guy not get fired? He saw the phone, and bam! He keeps phoning it in, to the point where the kids are even commenting on it. For example, in this episode, they had a $30 music video budget, and they essentially said, "Wow, Mr. Ruffman, you really are one cheap bitch."
$30? Whoa. Hey, Ruff, thanks for giving us our budget. A lot of money. Probably spent it all on milk bones, didn't you?
Milk bones? I would never.
Episode 7 opens with Brian talking about how scared he is of bees.
Oh, when I was 3 years old, I went to the farm with my cousin. The bee went in my ear and stung me inside my ear.
Inside your ear?
Then they send him out beekeeping.
Holy shit.
At first I thought they made up this storyline for dramatic tension, but I don't think so. He looks genuinely stressed. The entire time Ruff is razzing him a bit, but when it gets to the point where the kid's like, "I can't do it," in the saddest little way, Ruff hypes him up for at least trying.
I can't do it. I can't do it. I can do it. I can't do it. I can't do it. I gotta go.
Let me tell you something. For a kid that has issues with bees, he got pretty close.
Luckily, Brian is paired with the MVP, Khalil, and while he is once again carrying this group project, he is so understanding of Brian. These kids are such good sports. I'm not sure if part B of this challenge was always intended, but it's nice that they got Brian to participate again with something more silly.
Well, I'm the queen, so I'm gonna go over here. Oh, she gets the hammock and the flowers and she gets a crown. How cute.
They have to dress up and act like bees. I feel like at my 26-year-old age, I'll put this in B. B. Because I do it, but once again, would it be my favorite thing in the world? No. I mean, I do like the fact I learned about bees that they mellow out with smoke. Maybe they're just like us for real. Meanwhile, Julia and Anna are windsurfing, which seems so much more fun. The Brian torture immediately continues in the next episode.
Brian, look out!
Brian is not seen in the lineup of kids, and I was like, Oh shit, did he quit the competition? Then Ruff Ruffman is seen evilly laughing about what he has planned for him. Brian had a chef wake him up in his own house, scaring him even more than the bees did. But here's the worst part, his family was in on it. And his family was also cheekily trying to make this cooking challenge as difficult for the boy as possible. Leave Brian alone! The chef was guiding him through this, and since you're all asking how I would do at this very mundane activity, I think I'd do okay, but unfortunately I'm better at ordering in. Everybody say boo! Brian gets put in an actual restaurant at the end, which is even worse because the chef is treating him like an actual employee. And in a restaurant, that's bad.
Today, bring the food before it gets cold.
Hurry up before the food's cold!
Relax, he's only 11. Brian should for sure not only get the most points for this episode, but he should also be able to keep the tips.
Brian, you see this? It's the world's smallest violin.
Ruff doesn't treat any of the other kids like this, by the way. The fact of the matter is, maybe Ruff is treating Brian like that because Brian reminds him of himself. Maybe he's echoing the same things he heard as a pup. Meanwhile, Khalil, Taylor, and Noah have to make their own ice cream flavor called the BLT. And 2 of those 3 flavors have to be vegetables. For their vegetables, they chose butternut squash, a good choice because it's very starchy and it doesn't have an overpowering flavor. And for the tea, they chose tomato. So first of all, that's a fruit, and that's probably the worst fucking choice. It's too juicy, it's too savory. In the end, they only put about half a splash because it was so nasty. Turnips or turmeric would have been better. I think this is the only challenge where I would have done significantly better than the kids. That is very pathetic. Episode 9 is an adventure where all the kids go, and it is exquisitely themed. They solve little puzzles in this giant castle, and it's pretty creepy. I hate the skeleton too. Julia was especially upset by it, and Noah had no patience for her.
I'm not looking back there. Julie, it's rubber.
Khalil would never. It's kind of like an escape room, but instead of escaping, they're solving a mystery. A mystery about an invention. I'm keeping it vague because it has to do with the cartoon dog's backstory. Despite when I was a kid being obsessed with spy shit and having every decoder under the sun, when I see numbers, I black out.
Circle 12-1. Are any of the numbers above 26? Oh, I think I know what you're doing, Julie. Is it an alphabet?
Oh, wait, I think I get it. The circle numbers represent the letters and the bottom numbers represent the order. Now hold on a second. They need to be sequential.
Number 1 is 12 letters of A, B.
This is the second time they've decoded a bunch of numbers while I was sitting there watching like this. They also had to use a blacklight on the books from the library to figure out the numbers for the safe. This was the best challenge so far. I still wouldn't do well at it, but it was fun. In episode 10, Noah and Anna had to make a lemonade stand. That was the whole challenge. The in-universe logic of why they only sent 2 kids on this very bare-bones challenge is because Ruff blew the budget, and now they have to make more money. The challenge consists of designing and woodworking, as well as testing different methods of insulation to keep the lemonade cool for a long period of time. I'm putting this challenge in the middle because it's mid. Also, if they were running out of their budget, how did Ruff's cousin Murray arrive in a helicopter to deliver the lemonade? Also, why would they do that when the Fetch 3000 can teleport things? Back to 2 challenges in episode 11. Taylor gets to report the weather on an actual news segment. She's mentored by a real meteorologist, and I cheered for Taylor. She has been in last up until now, and she is a really good competitor. She just didn't get the same amount of opportunities up until now. Or so I thought. The filming order was weird. I want you to know that I know that, but this script is as I figured things out. I think I said that already. I used to be hyper fixated on all the instruments you use to predict weather. I think I'd be good at this challenge, but not better than Taylor, who has no stage fright. Probably because she was on Zoom. Yeah, she was on the last season of Zoom, and then they cast her for Fetch with Ruff Ruffman. In the other challenge of this episode, the boys have to paint a mural. Brian expresses unconfidence, saying that he's not a good painter. My god, Brian, pick a struggle. I kid, but Brian basically learns the magic of a paint by numbers type of guided art. This show really empowers kids to try new things without fear. Or with fear. That being said, in this particular challenge, I would do better than them. Episode 12's challenge was creating a boat that floats out of garbage. I don't know how I would do. I don't feel confident, I don't feel unconfident. Also, the prizes of the daily winner are usually not worth mentioning. I literally have not mentioned it till now. Usually there's something silly like a sandwich. But at the end of this episode, Anna won a trip to go whale watching and the other kids are audibly jealous.
When you go whale watching, oh, that's so cool.
In the beginning beginning of episode 13, Ruff laments about a childhood friend turned star turned nemesis, Sputnik. Sputinsky. Regardless, Spot is a famous circus dog who prevented Ruff from going to the auditions by lying, saying it was rescheduled. As usual, Ruff exploits the children's intelligence for his own gain, sending Noah, Julia, and Taylor to build a catapult so he can launch water balloons at his rival. Brian's challenge is to become a clown in the circus. Classic Brian. I quite literally am a clown for a living. That's going at the top of the tier list. But that lacrosse stick catapult was impressive as hell. These PBS kids are a different breed. For the catapult challenge, I think I do good, but again, not as good as the Fetchers. By the end of the episode, Sputnik apologized to Ruff via email, so Ruff did not end up getting his revenge. Spot does this repeatedly. He knows Ruff forgives easily, probably due to his childhood, so Spot keeps messing with him for entertainment. I don't know if he actually hates Ruff, but Spot never stops messing with Ruff. Just like Ruff's love interest Charlene, Spot is never seen. We see a picture of him, but all the shenanigans happens off screen. Episode 14, they are back to the farm. This was supposed to be a cooking episode, so they thought they were going to the grocery store, but instead they had to get the ingredients straight from the source. Luckily, no meat-based dishes, or else this would be a very traumatizing episode. Instead, they just have to scoop poop. Again. This was the show you dreamed about competing on? Wouldn't be my favorite challenge, I'll just say that. Meanwhile, Khalil is working with a self-proclaimed comedian.
The action figure's like,
Oh, what?
you know what I mean?
Ha ha. I feel like I do decently with stand-up, but someone feeding me jokes like that?
I can't open this, I can't!
I'm sorry, this is an actual nightmare. I'm creating a new tier called I would do better than the expert. I feel like I'm being a little harsh on this guy. I don't know if his comedy is usually adult-centered and he just struggled with making kid-friendly jokes, or maybe the editors just did him dirty and he was actually very funny and this was a weird choice of clips to include. In episode 15, they have to do cooking challenges, grating cheese, peeling garlic, home ec stuff, lessons for everyday life. But listen to this. The person that loses has to try new food. You already know how I do at this challenge. Oh no, I lost a pulled pork sandwich. What a terrible punishment. Please don't make me. I would eat this one up, obviously. But the main challenge is a cook-off, which I find very fun. I love when they face off against each other. And another plot twist for this episode, the two Fetchers that stayed in Studio G get to judge along with Brian's sister, who I totally thought would vote against her own brother, but she actually helped him win. Rare Brian W. In episode 16, Taylor trains sea lions. I love sea lions. This would be the best challenge ever. Meanwhile, Julia is the go-karting pit crew. No offense, not my thing. I'm not like opposed to it. I'm capable, but yawn. Especially when sea lion training is happening. Episode 17 is all about heart rate, calming down before an adrenaline boost. First, the Fetchers did a guided yoga exercise, then they went to a theme park and then a spa. Sounds like a lovely day. Here's the thing, as you know, I came up with the ranking how well I do after the first challenge. I didn't realize some of these things were just a vacation. In episode 18, Noah tried kneeboarding, which is holding on to the back of a boat, having your knees on what looks like a boogie board, and then jumping waves. This kid definitely did better than I could. I would probably wipe out and cry. In this same episode, the girls went on a scavenger hunt led by a park ranger. This is going at the top of my tier list. I would do better because I wouldn't accidentally litter.
Anna! Yes, who gets 5 additional points subtracted from her score.
What?
Well, Anna, you dropped the list in the stream. I'm sorry. Littering is a no-no.
In the penultimate episode of season 1, the challenge starts with the kids on a flight to Alabama. Ruff sent the kids to space camp. This is going in one of the top rows. I'm scared of space, but those NASA simulations look so much fun. These kids were more equipped to go to space than Katy Perry was. Topical reference. Okay, finale time. Over the past few episodes, Ruff is spiraling about the grand prize because he hasn't figured out what it is yet. One thing I love about RUFF RUFFMAN being a game show host is he's kind of the antithesis of every game show host before him. Many game show hosts have a sparkling smile and a personality that seems so put together, and that's about it. There's really not much to them. But Ruff keeps it DIY. He's a bit of a bastard, honestly. But even so, He is so emotional about never getting to see the season 1 Fetchers again. It swings back around to him being charming in honestly a more realistic way. He shows off more of his humanity despite being a cartoon. The finale was made up of mini games like bobbing for squeaky toys, popping balloons by sitting on them, and building a tower. I thought they'd do one big challenge, but instead the whole episode took place in Studio G, eliminating the contestants from the bottom up until they were down to Khalil and Anna. And even though I know I shouldn't have been this invested, when Khalil lost, I was devastated. They shared the prize though.
Anna's not going whitewater rafting by herself. No, no, no. You're all going whitewater rafting!
So, you know, one could say, what's the point? For the remaining seasons, I cannot do that tier list thing again. Forget it, okay? It was a stupid idea. I'll never be a Fetcher. The new Fetchers for season 2 are Maddie, Bridget, Nina, Mike, Rosario, and Willie. These challenges, as we've already seen, vary tremendously in fun. Right off the bat in episode 1 of season 2, while some of the kids are out making chocolate in a chocolate factory, others are learning about germs, taking samples from their household toilet. I will say, in defense of the poop water challenge, seeing the bacteria results was pretty cool. This is nowhere near the best or worst challenge though. We got a celebrity cameo in the second episode from the Blue Man Group. I think it's about time a woman joins the group, okay? And here's my audition. Hi, my name's Athena. I'm 5'4". Profile.
Slay! She's really good.
Yeah, so obviously I'm super jealous. Spending the day with non-verbal alien musicians is on my bucket list. The etiquette lessons from episode 8 made me roll my eyes so hard. Listen, there is a place for basic manners, but you can't lick your spoon or you'll be scolded. You have to fully put down all of your utensils. This is the training people wanted Ruby and Jade from Sophia the First to have, but they can't afford it. That infuriating lesson is happening while Willie is racing a dolphin, by the way. Episode 9 was the first challenge of season 2 that included all of the Fetchers. They learned survival tips and camped out for 2 days. The episode where there's no halftime quiz shows are my favorite. I can't help but feel bad for the Fetchers that are left behind. Something I really like about season 2 is that these kids show way more emotion. They're a better representation of how most people would react, admitting they don't know how to do something, and looking freaked out when they realized they'd have to put on a puppet show to a hospital. Yeah, in episode 4 they were crafting puppets, and usually I would love that, but the hospital element would stress me out. On top of that, Ruff Ruffman being in a cone and crying like a real dog genuinely upset me. And look how concerned Maddie is too. And in episode 14, when Maddie and Mike realized that they'd have to rap on air at the radio station when they thought they were just submitting a CD, they were horrified.
I can do it.
Tell me you can do this.
I don't know.
It makes you root for them even more. The best food challenge was in episode 7 when Rosario and Nina flew out to New Orleans to learn how to make gumbo from the legend Leah Chase. Ruff Ruffman calls Leah Chase the best gumbo chef ever, and while that's correct, I just can't believe they didn't mention what a huge role she played in the civil rights movement. This could have been a whole history lesson in and of itself. Episodes 11 and 12 were the first 2-part special. I don't really think the Paul Revere reenactment or the Colorado dog sledding needed 2 episodes dedicated to them, but it gave us a good look at Ruff's morals once again. Episode 11 ended with the kids asking Ruff, "What do we do now?" before he loses connection with them. The Fetch 3000 technology breaks down, leaving 4 out of the 6 kids stranded.
Ruff, where's the cab? Ruff, the redcoats are gonna be here.
Okay, award-winning acting.
Ruff, we're stuck. What do we do now? Ruff!
How are they gonna get back? In the beginning of episode 12, we see how Ruff is dealing with this. He is not. He starts over hosting a variety show. He was willing to abandon the kids. Probably because as a kid, the adults in his life were willing to abandon him. Fuck! The cycle of abuse continues! Ruff also has very little patience as seen in episode 13. He once again gets irritated when a kid has a fear. Rosario is scared of horses and has to go horseback riding. What was Ruff's reaction?
I have the weirdest feeling in my gut right now, it's not even funny.
Oh, Rosario, this is going to be a long day.
Ruff, shut up. In the penultimate episode of season 2, the Fetchers have to go through an investigation to see who stole the grand prize. Measuring footprints, swabbing evidence for DNA, dusting fingerprints. I miss the whimsy of a Clue Junior-like investigation and I yearn for it. The finale took place in Studio G, as usual. Mike won. I cheered. Honestly, this season I was kind of rooting for everyone. Mike got a trophy of Ruff as the grand prize, and I tried to see if he, as a now 31-year-old man, still has it. I couldn't find anything though. DJ Noel, Jay, Harsha, Sam, and Sammy are this season's Fetchers. Episode 1's challenges are immediately super high stakes. Lifeguard training and how to remove skunk stink. Cleanliness and safety are more important than ever this season, apparently. Episode 3, they have to learn how to remove stains from a stain removal specialist. Mr. Clean? No, I wish. The other challenge is Noel spending the day as a firefighter. And this fire station doesn't even have fun stuff.
So where's the fire pole?
We don't have fire poles anymore.
And do you have a Dalmatian?
We kind of don't have one of those neither.
Look how guilty he looks. He knows this tour sucks. In episode 4, Sam has to work for Senator Ted Kennedy. Meanwhile, the others are making a parade float. The challenges are so funny because they vary from fun craft, vacation, sport, or kid doing big boy job for no pay.
Trust no one.
That's the code?
We have an all-hands-on-fetch secret spy mission, decoding invisible ink, disguising themselves, disabling cameras, finding bugs in a hotel room, and chasing down this poor Bijan Frise, all to get the Ruffman family collar back. Ruff's ancestors were literally haunting him in his sleep because he pawned it away, and now it's being used for evil by Ken L. Koff. They keep using this same shot of him. Super dramatic, I had to give it a try. But this dude was in no way prepared to face off against these kids. He landed in a helicopter just to run away and abandon his dog. Abandoning dogs is an ongoing theme. As Ken flies away, the kids look like they're flipping him off. Ken Koff. He doesn't really look like a Ken. He looks like a Fa. Fuck off. Ha 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 ha. But wait, how could you use a family collar for evil? What does that mean? Do we ever see Ken again? Do we get answers? No. But we do see just how messy the Ruffman family really is. I have a whole section dedicated to it. Stay tuned. Hold on to your seats, hold on to your pants. Episode 6 had sand sculpting and Jay went to beauty school. Usually the loose story they establish in the opening justifies why such different talents are in the same episode. In this case, Ruff Ruffman is trying to fix his poodle haircut and he's trying to learn sand sculpting to impress Charlene's mom to woo Charlene. In the Stains episode, Ruff's rival Spot pranked Ruff by covering him with permanent marker spots. 3 seasons in, and Ruff is still as improvisational as ever, which really fits with the way voice actor Jim Conroy performed him, going off script to interact with the kids and react to how well they're doing in challenges. One of the most so mundane it's funny challenges I could think of is season 3, episode 14, when Harsha and Sam are working at a grocery store bagging people's items. It is just so endearing to hear a kid say,
"This is so much fun, Ruff,"
about bagging groceries. I was a grocery bagger for a bit. At Costco, actually. Oh my god. And a lot of the time, I would just have old ladies staring me down like, I could bag that better. I'm really glad the kids didn't have to deal with that. What are the other kids up to while their competition is working an honest 9 to 5? Oh, they're just snorkeling in a coral reef. What? In the penultimate episode of the season, one of the challenges was kind of like wife swap, but in this case, the kids are swapping for the day and there's no trauma. Have you guys been down the wife swap rabbit hole? That's a video for another day. Jay does activities with Noel's family like preparing traditional Korean dishes, and Noel does activities with Jay's family like vacuuming their pool. Okay, flex? Oh, my son's learning about your culture? You're gonna look at my pool. All of PBS is gonna look at my pool. I have a pool. The season 3 finale didn't take place in Studio G as usual, but instead we are taken through a Ruffman family drama.
You started bumping me and collected balls for yourself.
No way, bro. You started bumping me.
Boys, just stop stupid!
The one really bad thing about it being outside of Studio G is that the eliminated fetchers are sent away, and it makes the eliminations even sadder. DJ was the first one out and he was sent to Studio G, but it's different than having the eliminated fetchers just a few feet away. In the end, Jay won over Harsha. A predictable ending, but I guess deserved. I mean, the guy already has a pool. Nah, he played a good game. He played a good game. The season ended with Ruff getting robbed and fired. What a cliffhanger. In this video from Film Academy 360, we hear more about the production, and I have been extremely bamboozled. Remember how much I complained about the halftime quiz shows and the kids being left behind? Well, Jim Conroy, voice of Ruff Ruffman, explained that the challenges are filmed first, before the kids even get to Studio G. All these kids sold the illusion, oh my god, running through the doghouse door with props and outfits used in the challenges from a month or so ago, acting so surprised when they received challenges through the mailbox that they already did. I genuinely feel like such a fool. These kids lied to me. I did have a suspicion about the animation process. Jim Conroy talked about how he interacted with the contestants, holding up pictures of the cartoon so the kids know who they're talking to because the animation wasn't completed. And these cutouts of the characters are something we see brought back in the very popular but short-lived TikTok spin-off. I'll talk about that later. Now, this show features a lot of appearances from kids and different professionals, and these are things that could not always age poorly, but definitely sadly. Skip to the timestamp on screen if you don't want to feel extreme emotional whiplash. I always want to keep my videos light and fun, but this next section is all about people who were featured on the show whose lives were tragically cut off short. I wasn't expecting to talk about this, but I didn't want to do you all a disservice and just not mention it. I also don't want it to seem like I'm watering down the memory of the people I'm mentioning, but I also can't pretend I personally knew them either. Season 4 contestant Sterling Singletary passed away January 2025 at the age of 28. Close family, friends, and even fans of Fetch have left beautiful words in his honor on the site Everloved. Mish Michaels, the meteorologist in Season 1, passed away in 2022, and a cause of death was not given by her family, but it was largely reported on as a possible suicide. I looked up her name because the way she worked with children impressed me so much. She seems so bubbly, and finding out this information, even with this being my only impression of her, really shocked me. Dr. Janice Weissman, a neurologist featured in Season 2, highly regarded in her field, passed away at the age of 61 after a long battle with COVID. Dawn Branshaw, an animal trainer at SeaWorld, who was teaching kids about the orcas, died at the age of 40 when tragedy struck February 24th, 2010, when one of the killer whales drowned her. Truthfully, I can't even watch the episode with this knowledge, and I will not be covering it. I figured this was important information to share. It felt weird to skim over it, and it feels weird going back into the video, but back to the usual silliness of Ruff Ruffman. The Season 4 premiere is fully animated with Ruff traveling to Australia to try and save his show. And it doesn't feature the new Fetchers until the very end, when Ruff calls them to break the news that they're on Fetch. That part is also a lie. It's just movie magic. The contestants this season are Brian, Bethany, Talia, Sterling, Liza, and Isaac. Episode 2 features the first challenges. Very weird. Bethany and Talia learn how to fence, while Liza and Isaac learn how to pole vault from another PBS host, Nathan Ball. Ruff is also determined to learn pole vaulting, not only because he feels less cool than Nathan Ball and he's super intimidated by this guy, but also because Ruff's person, his human owner, is trying to fence him in and keep him yard bound. I can't believe it took her dog running away to Australia for her to learn this lesson. In episode 3, Bethany is learning how to be a conductor, while Isaac, Talia, and Sterling are trying to teach Ruff how to not be so goddamn wasteful as usual. Basically, Ruff was trying to create a Lunchly-like product with low-quality ingredients and hella packaging, and the kids had to clean up his mess. I like how Ruff is a bit of a stereotypical celebrity shithead. He has stars in his eyes when it comes to selling stuff that he shouldn't be selling. Episode 5, as usual, is the first group challenge. It only took me 4 seasons to notice patterns. They have Team BLT versus I shit you not, Team IBS, which they call IBS, dodging responsibility from the fact that Ruff just named a group of children irritable bowel syndrome. Anyway, their challenge is to emit less CO2 than the other team on their way to Salem, New Hampshire. How do they decide which vehicles they'll be taking? You guessed it, by solving puzzles. Take a shot every time they say they solved puzzles. Don't do that. Group challenges always boil down to solving puzzles. But don't get me wrong, the theme always changes and they have a shit ton of puzzles, so it never feels stale. So in the first challenge, BLT won, so they are taking one car to their next location when the other team has to take 3 separate cars. Purposely polluting more seems counterintuitive to the lesson you're trying to teach. But later on in the episode, they plant a tree, so that's nice. That undoes it. But you know what else pisses me off? They don't know how much time they have to complete the challenge in until after they've already completed them. It was so frustrating to see them solve these puzzles but still lose because it took them a few seconds longer. As their names prophesized, BLT won over IBS, so that team got to go on the funner amusement park rides. This season also introduced us to half points, which felt unnecessary. In episode 6, Sterling and Bethany have a spider-related challenge. Both Bethany and Ruff are both afraid of spiders, so I guess he can empathize with her more. And his commentary is always goofy, but I snorted when he said this.
8 eyes? That's one for each leg.
1 eye for each leg. I mean, you could say that about humans, too.
Dumb dog.
Encouraging kids to face their fears also means confronting gendered stereotypes. Brian learns ballet and talks to other boys his age that do ballet, and it's really sweet. Episode 8 was a piss and shit episode. Liza and Sterling had to scoop dog poop, and Bethany and Isaac are learning about astronaut urine from NASA. The entire time, Ruff was like,
Ooh, I gotta pee so bad.
because Ruff broke his toilet and refuses to pee on the grass like every other dog.
Why don't we give out some points before I explode?
Episode 9 is a group challenge as usual, and this episode is not for my peeps with emetophobia or the fear of vomiting, because we learn a lot about turkey vultures, and I'll spare your eyes, but a defense mechanism they have is projectile vomiting. And you know what? I'm sure it works. Ruff was magically turned into a turkey vulture, so now they're trying to spread good PR for turkey vultures. The kids met and photographed a real turkey vulture, and then met up with an advertising team to paint them in a better light. This, other than the vomiting, is probably my dream challenge. I love animals, and just the idea of making a positive PSA that you have to present in favor of a misunderstood animal, it combines everything I love. Oh my god. Today we're going to be talking about gharial crocodiles. Ew. A face not even a mother could love. Yeah, that's what I thought at first too. But listen up, you judgmental whores! Rude. These are creatures who care about family. The fuck do you know about family? Males will even take care of kids who aren't their own because they know it takes a whole village. You just booed stepfathers. Fathers who stepped up. Shame on you. Yeah, I'd guilt people and make them look inward. I'm sorry, I got caught up in the moment. In the next episode, Isaac learns about penguins. And these African penguins have calls that sound like donkeys. I'm obsessed with them. I really want to compete now. Fellow YouTuber Alec Combs suggested we get a bunch of YouTubers together and host our own fetch. The host has to be a VTuber. Any volunteers? I'm so serious. Episode 18, Liza learns how to take care of, groom, and milk goats. And I learned that goats have no upper teeth. I love the animal challenges. They are by far my favorite. The last group challenge is the penultimate episode. Throughout the season, they've mentioned time and time again the lost helmet of victory. They're looking for clues throughout this train to unlock the word lock, number lock, and key lock on this briefcase. They even have this sketchy character who is clearly trying to steal the briefcase. The kids try to warn Ruff, but he is oblivious, dismissing their alarm and saying that this is a good guy. Bad dog. We have all this suspense. Brian and Sterling were left behind, and a police car picked them up, and then this police officer said, "Hey guys, this bridge is up and all of your friends are gonna crash on that train if you don't get through the security system and save them." You think the police officer helps them? Even better, she hits them with a
good luck, guys.
What? Don't just leave him there?
Classic. The bad guy named Dijon gets caught and hits the kids with this Scooby-Doo line.
And I would have gotten away with it too if it wasn't for those Fetchers and that meddling dog.
Season finale time. The Fetchers are taken to a place relevant to Ruff's ancestors' prophecy. But shut up about that. I'm gonna jump straight into who won because it is so different from what we've come to know. Going into the finale, they have all the points they've gotten throughout the season, and the two in last place have to work their way up. So even though hypothetically people can go from the bottom to being the winner of the entire season, it hasn't happened. Not even close in the past 3 seasons. In the last 3 seasons, it was usually the person in second takes it all at the end, or the person who was already in the lead takes it all in the end. But this time, Liza jumped all the way from 4th place to 1st. And I don't know how to feel about that. I'm just kidding, I do know how to feel about that, because out of all the Fetchers, Liza is definitely most public with her appreciation of this show. On TikTok, she shows her helmet of victory, and all the other things she's kept from Ruff Ruffman and all the memories of the show, and she's just really talented. Like, girly has pipes. I'm happy for her. The Season 5 premiere is so similar to Season 4's in that it's mostly animated. This time, we see audition clips from all of this season's Fetchers because Ruff is behind on the casting process due to his life being, and this is putting it lightly, a shit show.
Where are my parents?
Where are my parents?
No. Where are my parents?
The kids already knew they were cast and probably did most of these challenges, but as usual, their illusion of a timeline is super convincing.
So, Mark, when did you find out you're getting on this TV show?
Like 5 seconds ago.
No kidding.
This season we have Mark, Jay, Emmy, Ruby, Marco, and Shreya. They cast 2 Marks in 1 season, which is hilarious, and Emmy and Ruby were best friends before they even met on the show. This episode ends with the Fetchers being sent to the wrong place because of Ruff's assistant, Chet. Chet the Mouse is one malicious motherfucker. You'll hear about him later. Season 5 already starts with a cliffhanger. In the second episode, the Fetchers are stuck on Game Show Island. They have to use tape recorders to collect every ancient relic, which will get them off the island. If they don't compete, they're stuck here. What do you think happens? Do they get stuck on the island? Does Ruff have to cast new Fetchers? Nah, it's a classic puzzle game. You already know. Some math equations, some engineering. The only surprising part is that they had their first group challenge in the second episode, in the first challenge. Episode 3, Ruby is learning how to be a magician from the famous Penn and Teller, while Marco and Shreya are learning from an Animal Kingdom veterinarian how to identify a mystery animal and care for them. They get to witness a routine examination on an ape under anesthesia, listening to her heart and brushing her teeth. I yelled, dude. Strong start this season. These kids are having once-in-a-lifetime one-on-one mentorships. I've said it before, but I am jealous. They are pulling out all the stops for their final season because guess who cameoed in the 4th episode? Crush from Finding Nemo. He was the perfect dude to announce the Sea Turtle Challenge, but more importantly, this means that the Pixar Cinematic Universe and PBS are connected, and no one is talking about it. Meanwhile, Jay went on the worst challenge in Ruff Ruffman history. He just got pranked and insulted.
So like, why are you even here?
Well, hello.
Because I'm on Fetch.
That shit was like, for like 5-year-olds, right?
He really deserved the win for that episode. Episode 5 is our first ever Halloween-themed episode. Ruff was warned that Ruffman Manor that he now has full access to, as a descendant of Maximilian Ruffman, was haunted by that very ancestor. The Fetchers were sent there to see if it was haunted, and at first they were convinced. They saw this Pepper's ghost, an optical illusion created by reflection on a well-angled glass, and they saw these creepy shadows and heard howling sounds. They investigated, and turns out it wasn't the creepy cook.
I have plenty of ladles, but they're only to be used for soup.
Or the creepy gardener who only had a nail clipper to trim the hedges. It was most predictably the butler, who wanted to keep the mansion for himself. And he was arrested? For what? For setting up a haunted house on Halloween? In episode 7, one of the challenges was making cheese, which I absolutely adore. And another challenge I really loved was in episode 12, where they learned how to make kinetic sculptures, which means moving sculptures, and I am transfixed best dude. This one of the fish jumping out of the water is like seeing stop motion animation in real life. We learned about elephants at an elephant sanctuary and indoor skydiving in episode 14. Indoor skydiving is a blast. I tried it back in 2017. One of the challenges in episode 15 was to be a hand model, which might be the second worst challenge of the series. But I love this diva mentor.
Now let me see your hands, darling. Let me see. Well, I think we have our work cut out for us.
And you know what? I spoke too soon. Because now they're learning how to dance with their hands. It's not just about the hand's beauty, it's about their talent. How does PBS come up with these ideas? Best challenge ever was learning about belugas. Mark got to pat a beluga's tongue. For whatever reason, they love being patted on the tongue because they're just sweet, social little goofballs. I love beluga whales. I'm so jealous. Okay, the last 3 episodes are super related to Ruff's awful family, so I'll just skip to the winner. It was one of the Marks. Yay! He jumped from 5th place to 1st. These last 2 season finales were crazy. So the human hand giving him kibble during the theme song is Ruff's person, mentioned throughout the series but never fully seen. The weirdest part, as seen in season 1 episode 15, is that he woofs to her. Something we've never seen him do. So, does he keep the whole talking and hosting a reality game show thing a secret from his human? In season 1, episode 7, Ruff also won a DQ award for being the second best dressed reality game show host. It's never said or shown who won first, and usually there aren't placements in an award show, but I really bring this up because we see the DQ award show at the end of the episode, and the silhouette of the crowd is all dogs. And they're even giving out bone awards with dog-themed decorations everywhere. Now here's where their reality gets confusing, because as we always hear in the theme song, these TV show producers were alarmed because a dog had sign, really emphasizing the silliness of a dog hosting. But then they normalize it to the extent that they have their own award show. Which is it? They contradicted this again in season 1, episode 18, where Ruff said he was the only canine host of a reality show. Then how'd he get second best dressed? Now on to the real star of the show, animals, animated or otherwise. At the end of season 1, episode 6, when Taylor, Brian, and Noah are making a music video, Ruff randomly edited in a live-action pug who's his cousin. Then we cut back to the 2D Ruff Ruffman holding up a picture of him and the cartoon version of his pug cousin, his pugsin. We need to figure out how these creatures live in both dimensions. And furthermore, where is the live-action 3D Ruff Ruffman? And what would that even look like? Fun fact, I was gonna have a whole section dissecting what breed of dog he is, but he says multiple times he's a mutt, and honestly all the things I knew about him, bad eyesight due to glasses, insatiable appetite with emphasis on a strong stomach, it all came back to a yellow lab. And when I looked up rotund yellow lab, this came up and it just looks like him in live action. Okay, so mystery solved. That's definitely part of what kind of mutt he is. You don't care. Ruff's assistant Murray was first seen season 1, episode 7, and in the beginning we only see his animated arms as he holds up a clapboard for the commercial Ruff is filming. But just like Ruff's pug cousin, we see Murray later in the episode and he has a live action form too. Ruff had ongoing beef in season 1 with his neighbor cat Twiddles, but that pretty much stopped after season 2 when they introduced a main character cat in the form of Princess Blossom Pepperdoodle Von Yum Yum. Ruff's boss, Henry, forces Ruff to take in his niece's cat as an intern. Mostly known as Blossom, she's very serious, no-nonsense, and professional, and despite how often we see Ruff lamenting about cats, he of course warms up to Blossom. It's a rough journey to them starting to tolerate each other. Ruff Ruffman, on Blossom's second day of work, immediately started talking about cat conspiracy theories.
Cats use none of their own brain and instead get all their instructions from the mothership hovering above us. Come on, Blossom, it's all here in the cat conspiracy. You haven't read it? It'll blow your little kitty mind.
Whoa, buddy, that's problematic. And Blossom's reaction is just a nonchalant eye roll. I guess she's used to speciesist bosses. Hate to see it, but Blossom very quickly climbed the corporate ladder, because in season 3 she is no longer his assistant, and her old role is filled by Chet the Mouse, who gets the job through sheer pressure and I guess squatting rights. Meaning this mouse just refuses to leave and builds his own studio apartment within in the Fetch 3000. We hear that Blossom's new position includes keeping track of the show's finances. And in Season 3, Episode 12, we also hear that Blossom is trying to make the show more green by cutting down all of Ruff's excess electricity usage. And that makes sense because ever since Blossom's introduction, the Fetch 3000 has kind of taken a back seat. This machine used to be the only thing Ruff could interact with on screen other than the children, and I think the introduction of other cute animal cartoon characters for Ruff to bounce off of was a really great addition. Not only that, but the cartoony shenanigans of trying to get rid of another animal co-star shifts from Blossom to briefly Chet. In Season 3, Episode 16, Ruff makes one of the challenges of making a house out of straw so they can put the little mouse in it and throw him outside during a hurricane. Ruff is really done with Chet's shit. In Season 4, Episode 15, we see that the pursuit of Charlene the Poodle continues. Give it up, man. As Ruff laments about wanting to impress her, he starts to hear this voice.
The way to her heart is to make the gift, not buy it.
And he's the only one that hears that guy. I had no idea where this was going when I was watching it, but turns out that voice came from a flea in Ruff's ear. Ha ha, I don't know, it creeped me out. And then, big reveal, he's covered in fleas, and he's even lit on fire to create a tiny campfire for them. Stop, drop, and roll over, Ruff! Listen, I feel bad for Ruff, but I also feel really bad for Charlene. Ruff accidentally gave her fleas through this gift, and if that isn't enough, he's still trying to chat her up in the very next episode. Worse than that, he got her another gift, which harmed her again.
You're allergic to sunflowers? I didn't know that. Sorry.
Now let's talk about Chet. This is gonna be the most unpopular thing I ever say, but I believe this guy is malicious as fuck. At first we think he's innocent, and he just misunderstands, which causes him to torture Ruff. But I think he gets a lot of enjoyment out of it. Like, let's look at the facts here. He shredded up Ruff's final paper, causing him to fail college. Ruff had to throw out his degree. He signs Ruff up for a boxing match against this ripped poodle, and he covered valuable jewelry Ruff was watching for his cousin in tar.
Place it by the guitar, not encase it in tar. Where did that barrel of tar even come from?
The excuse is always that he mishears what Ruff is asking him to do, but I think he's feigning ignorance. In Season 5, Episode 7, Chet replaced a lot of things around the doghouse with cheese, including the door, Blossom's computer, the chair, and the Fetch 3000. No one told him to do that. Chet is simply self-motivated. Chet is also very popular, going to these popular events without his co-workers and then rubbing it in their faces, and even hosting parties within the Fetch 3000. This is a work environment. His mischievousness can most clearly be seen in the Halloween episode where he keeps scaring Ruff on purpose. This is not a misunderstanding, it is intentional. Now, why does Ruff keep trusting Chet? Probably because he's used to unreliable people who hurt him. Let's finally talk about the elephant in the room, Ruff's fucked up family. All these kids were so busy wanting to be on the show, nobody noticed the soap opera going on in this dog's life. This guy needs to go to therapy. I'm so serious. He is one bad day away from having a BoJack Horseman level crash out. Everyone dismisses it, but I don't let these things slide. This dude's family does emotional damage every time they're on the screen, and in some cases, they're flat out evil. Let's begin. We hear about Ruff Ruffman's great uncle, McRuffmantosh, in Episode 5 of Season 2, and he explains how the culture of dogs and cats hating each other started. Dogs remembered the land that cats and dogs shared as Dogtopia, and the reason for it falling apart being the cat's fault, and Blossom confirms that cats remembered a different way, the land being called Catlantis, and the downfall being because of the dogs. The kids go on a mission where half are on the cat team and half are on the dog team. They have to look for clues within their idols. It's another big puzzle made up of tiny puzzles that lead them to the real villain. Cats and dogs blamed each other when really their common enemy of the vacuum cleaner was to blame. In Season 1, Episode 14, Grandma Ruffman takes over, and she is super hypercritical over her grandson, Ruff Ruffman. After saying he isn't funny, she forces him to sell cookbooks on his show. How can you reap the benefits of nepotism while also insulting the person that's helping you? This is just the beginning of the family drama, and spoiler alert, it's not even the worst of it. There's a reason why Ruff can sometimes be morally corrupt. He's been competing his whole life with some very unstable individuals, like his criminal twin brother, Scruff. Scruff Ruffman's first appearance was in season 2, episode 17, when he broke out of jail. He stole a bunch of art from a museum and hid them in caves near the Rocky Mountains. Rosario, Bridget, and Nina retrieved the art, and I thought this would put a target on the kids' backs, but Scruff calls Ruff pretty cheery until Ruff rightfully snitches on him again because Scruff is on the run. Scruff was even responsible for trying to steal the season 2 grand prize. Blossom was the one to get the prize back from his evil twin, and how does Ruff repay her? He accused her of stealing before the detective explained what really happened. During every season finale, Ruff honors the Fetchers by presenting them with a highlight reel. And as a sorry to Blossom, and to prove how much he cares about her, he presents her with her own highlight reel. He apologized and asked if she could join him next season. She leaves it a bit up in the air, but we know she comes back later as his boss. The very next episode, after meeting Scruff, we meet Helga von Ruffman, Ruff's fashion designer cousin. Now here's what really confuses me. Ruff says he's flying to Germany with his human for Helga's birthday. We also saw him flying during the season 1 finale, and he was in a crate, acting more dog-like. We've also seen him in his doghouse hearing about the renovations his person wants to make, so time and time again, even though she's never seen, we know she's a human, but now with this information that she knows Ruff's family, I'm wondering how much of her dog's life does she even know about? This human tracked down the whole family tree of famous dogs, but seemingly doesn't know that her dog can talk? This gets even more confusing during season 3's premiere, because the human's car is parked in Studio G, so she's seeing what he did to the garage. Also, sorry, the fashion design challenge with dog models, where Ruff's cousin was a judge, was fantastic. Rosario's purple flowery top hat ensemble was fierce. Honestly, I've never been so jealous of a dog's clothes before. Ruff's unhealthy family dynamic definitely influences Ruff's self-esteem, and as a result, his non-existent love life. I thought the whole Charlene thing was a throwaway joke after season 1, because 30 episodes went by with no mention of her, but in season 2, episode 16, he continues longing for her, even saying,
"Look, Charlene thinks I look like a talking orange pillow, and I have to change that."
Dude, she's giving him body image issues. In season 3, episode 2, we meet one of Ruff's many cousins, Bluff Ruffman, who's a gambler. In season 3, episode 9, Great Uncle McRuffmantosh's problematic ass returns, spreading more catspiracy theories. Look at Blossom's sad face after that accusatory point. I'm so sad. This led to another, say it with me, big puzzle adventure.
My great-great-grandfather buried something in these ruins. Here's your first clue.
A Rubik's Cube? In season 3, episode 14, we hear from Great Uncle McRuffmantosh about their pirate ancestor, Black Muzzle, who despite being called dead, calls Ruff at the end of the episode. He's so cheerful and supportive, which kind of contradicts everything we've learned about him. In season 3, episode 13, we meet Ruff's nephew, Glenn, who hijacks the show in exchange for fixing the Fetch 3000. Just like the rest of Ruff's family, this kid walks all over him. I actually respect Glenn a lot more, though, because he most definitely isn't being paid to be this show's techie, so this feels like an even exchange. On top of that, it's really clear that Glenn really wants to spend time with his uncle, and Ruff, not knowing how to receive love, insults this kid on national television.
You guys heard my nerd feud? Bubby nephew?
Yeah, I'm gonna need to see Glenn snap a lot more, actually. Every Glenn freakout is completely justified. In this episode, since Glenn has a cold and couldn't go to his friend's live-action roleplay game, do people still say LARP? They say it a lot this episode. He turns the Fetchers into LARPers. Glenn acts as the dungeon master for this game, splitting the kids up into 3 teams: the wizards, the elves, and the knights. They run around, interacting with fun props like this dragon. They build their own bridge, and then their final prize was this goblet of chicken wings. The punchline is that because of Glenn's speech impediment, it sounded like he was saying rings the whole time. A laugh fest to be sure. Next bit of casual family family lore they randomly dropped, Scruff and Ruff have an older sister who is completely unseen in this show named Roxy, only mentioned in season 3's feeling sheepish when Ruff had to watch his sister's sheep, plural, seamless transition into a sheep herding challenge. The only reason why they threw out a new family member at all is for this challenge, but the Ruff Ruffman wiki is just as curious about this confusing family tree as I am. They had the same suspicion I did. Roxy is Glenn's mom, and I guess he learned from her how to walk all over Ruff, as her only mention is tied to torturing her brother. In season 5, episode 3, we follow a similar plot. Cousin Bluff forces Ruff to animal sit for him. In season 3, episode 17, Scruff broke out of jail and Granny Ruffman was framed. Scruff escaped with a metal file hidden in what looks like Grandma Ruffman's signature cake. They had a whole trial, and arguably the most challenging task of all, Jay and Sammy were the forensic team. Hold up, somebody died? No, guys, this is PBS Kids. They tested ingredients on Granny's apron and what pen was used to write the note. Simple enough, right? They also get to see some cool chemical reactions, right? Well, yes, but the court was merciless.
So you didn't test the fingerprints or the paw prints on the pen?
No.
For all you know, the pen may have contained Scruff's girlfriend's fingerprints?
Yes.
Did you test the handwriting of the note?
No.
Did you not think that was crucial information?
No.
Poor Jay, he only did what the challenge told him to do. Rosario from the previous season was on the jury, which I thought was a really cute touch. Although the jury is supposed to be impartial and he clearly has connections to the case. Whatever. Grandma was found not guilty, and apparently Scruff's girlfriend, Petunia Fidelopoulos, framed Granny. Not the only Greek dog being a criminal. In season 3, episode 19, it's revealed that Scruff snuck into Ruff's doghouse and has been living there and stealing his food for a while, without Ruff's knowledge. And it feels like the Ruffman family is enabling Scruff. And Scruff even takes over the season 3 finale. Ruff acts helpless to this, but girl, just snitch. Call the cops. That's probably the only time I'll give this advice. And what's worse is that Grandma even teamed up with Scruff to make this happen. Oh, I just want my boys to get along. I hate forced mediation. This is Ruff's career. How dare you? I wish he didn't send those contestants to defend you. I wish you got sent to the slammer. This finale was an interesting look at these twins' tumultuous past. For a time, they were even co-workers, which is terrible for any relationship. Season 3 ends with criminal brother Scruff robbing Ruff, and Ruff getting fired. The premiere of season 4 follows, as I said, Ruff and Blossom trying to get their jobs back. But how does Ruff get the Fetch 3000 back? Grandma bought it online. Scruff is selling Ruff's things online, and no one is ratting him out. The grandma even says it so nonchalantly.
Your brother Scruff is selling all your stuff online.
Like she doesn't even blame Scruff, who, reminder, she helped take over the show, which led to this. On the journey to Australia to tell off the new owner of the network, this animated adventure also acts as Ruff learning from previous challenges to learn how to make a flotation device, how to make a fire, etc. So it acts as kind of a clip show as well. He also plugs his website to his pirate ancestor. This season premiere is off the rails. I think the brothers make up in the end. I don't know why. I honestly couldn't tell you. They go sledding? Season 4, episode 7, we meet yet another cousin. It never ends. His name is RUFF RUFFMAN, and he's not a roofer. He is a Swedish rock star. And just like every other Ruffman, he laughs at Ruff and mocks him.
They want me, not you.
Oh. Well, can I still go to South Carolina and be in your band?
Jag skulle hellre en bok till mitt band.
Little nephew Glenn is now into comic books in season 4, episode 13. So the challenge that episode is superhero related. They have to take down the villain GR, or Gamma Ray. The kids learn about radiation, and they split up into 3 teams themed around animals. Snake team gets infrared vision, the hawk team, I'm not making a hawk to a joke, grow up, gets binoculars, and the butterfly team gets ultraviolet light. Turns out GR isn't Gamma, it's Grandma Ruffman. And she's being a silly little weirdo again.
Gamma ray oven. Some rocket thrusters in the feet and I'm powering it all with a mini iridium reactor. I have to go buy some raisins at the store.
You built all that for raisins?
Dude, she's fully a villain.
Ruffman man, can we believe her?
Doesn't matter.
I know it's hard to see because she's so sweet to the Fetchers, so you wouldn't expect it, but think about it. In season 4, episode 16, we hear the reveal that Blossom also has an evil twin, leper. Very similar to Ruff and Scruff. The kids also pointed this out too, so I'm not the only one invested. The leper-related challenges are Sterling and Talia learning about a laser security system, and Isaac disguising himself to trick Brian, who has no idea. I was giggling so much. This kid had so much fun being an old lady.
They don't have Earl Grey.
They've had it for 20 years.
I know.
This is too cold now. I have been coming here for the past 20 years. He should be fired right now, Gary.
And believe it or not, he tricked Brian for a bit. I was screaming at the screen.
Brian, look out!
At the end of the penultimate episode of season 4, we see all of Ruff's relatives begging for the Helmet of Victory. They are absolutely dogpiling him. Dogpiling. I'm so funny. The lore of the season 4 finale is that Ruff's ancestor, old Jebediah Ruffman, was the last person to have the season 4 prize, the Helmet of Victory. So once again, I've said it 1,000 times, you already know they're solving puzzles. You think that's out of left field? The last season gave us the juiciest family drama yet. At the very end of season 4, Ruff mentions his parents for the first time. This trauma dump came out of nowhere, and it was such a fucking downer, even Blossom comforted him.
Man, my mom and pop would be so proud, but they disappeared when I was just a pup.
And you'd never guess what happens next. No, it's such a big coincidence, you wouldn't believe it. Grandma's parrot that I haven't mentioned till now because I didn't think he'd be important, but he's been here the whole time. This fucking bird says, "Alive! Your parents are alive!" And Ruff, upon hearing this reality-shattering news, knows it'll make a good hook for next season, so he plugs his show. This piece of the fucked up family puzzle makes everything so much worse, and yet it makes total sense. Season 5 starts, Ruff is interrogating this bird and getting no answers out of him. Then Granny, as normal, has the nerve to call him, and she announces she's now watching Go Get It. And as she's describing it, Ruff tells her, "Grandma, they're copying my show." And Granny says, "I wouldn't know, I don't watch your show. Go Get It is better, ratio." This bitch.
Someone should put you in a box floating down the river, Grandma!
Then she tells Ruff, "Oh yeah, I've known about your parents. You must have gotten the coordinates." Very cryptic. And as if she didn't just deliver huge news, she hangs up on her grandson to watch TV. The ripoff of his show, more specifically. Now listen, I haven't went completely cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs yet. I know this isn't supposed to be taken as a serious drama, but there's something about his family continuously shitting all over his career and gaslighting him to take very serious backstabbery lying down that doesn't sit right with me. Ruff reveals that the good luck balloon from his mom in the first episode was actually made by him. I really thought that was from his human, but I guess he only sees her as a roommate. There's seemingly no real emotional attachment there. In fact, take a look at this clip from season 5, episode 11.
My person, she's rediscovered the joys of playing fetch with her dog. Ruffy Doodle! Just a minute! Woof, woof, woof!
Remember in season 5, episode 2, when the kids were stuck on Game Show Island? That whole life-risking challenge was set up by Ruff's deadbeat parents. They keep saying long-lost parents, but this isn't Hey Arnold, they abandoned you, dog. Apparently, Grandma Ruffman and Ruff Ruffman's parents were all game show hosts.
Only pulled in about 30 million viewers a week.
But that's more than my show!
The undermining continues, and it's even worse than ignorance. It's even worse than not understanding the career path. She knows the pressures of this job. She knows the work that needs to be put into it. She just genuinely thinks her grandson is a failure. And we've never heard her speak like this to her criminal grandson. Also, this just makes the line in the theme song to Their Alarm a Dog Had Signed even more confusing, because at this point they've had multiple generations of dog game show hosts. Why are you surprised? In season 5, episode 8, Granny once again hijacked the show because she can hold a grudge like no one's business over shit that doesn't even matter.
My grandson squished my cake with that big awful truck 2 seasons ago that I worked so hard on.
Yeah, and you told me my parents are dead, you literal bitch. Unfortunately, when she said she was gonna make Ruff's show better, she was absolutely right, and that takes a lot for me to admit because I hate her so much. A wedding cake decorating contest for a real couple getting married, and trying to make a bear fireproof camping device that real grizzly bears will test. It's brilliant. God, I hate her. In season 5, episode 9, we hear about another ancestor. Gus Ruffman, the famous prospector. All this dude did was discover laundry detergent. Moving on. Season 5, episode 13, Bluff Ruffman, the gambler, bamboozled Ruff into thinking there was a real Egyptian sarcophagus buried in his backyard. This led to a challenge where kids went to an Egyptian-themed escape room where the ceiling was falling on them. And this bald man scares the shit out of them.
What is that? I am Pharaoh! That's Pharaoh!
Bluff has inflicted emotional damage on these children just so Ruff can unknowingly platform and advertise his beef jerky. Do I even need to say it? Quite a jerky move. Unethical advertising and cultural appropriation. Now we've arrived at the last 3 episodes of the series. In season 5, episode 18, the kids become private investigators to figure out how the ripoff show Go Get It is related to Ruff's parents' disappearance. The production company Purse is on the Go Get It DVDs, but they also match a police report about Ruff and his brother abandoned and baby Ruff held up a card that says Purse. Also pretty fucked up that they don't mention the sister then. From programming a robot to take classified information, they found out Purse stood for Pussycat Underground Rather Rotten Society, and on their to-do list was take over the world. God, the handwriting is perfect. In the penultimate episode of the series, we have another Glenn takeover, and now the kid is obsessed with pirates. He's so real for how quickly his obsessions change. It all started when Glenn accidentally gained access to the Go Get It website and found out about the hidden fetchy, which Purr is also after. The kids return to Game Show Island, learning about buoyancy, what items float, what liquids are lighter, what gas is lighter, and they follow clues to the fetchy. But cliffhanger, the cats stole it, and Grandma Ruffman explains what a fetchy really is. The fetchy is actually a brainwashing device that Purr wants to use on the season finale of Go Get It. How does Grandma Ruffman know this?
When I was younger, I used to work as a spy. For the good guys, of course.
Yeah, I'm not convinced.
All the viewers are going to think they're cats!
What?
That doesn't sound really bad. I mean, cats mostly just sleep. But whatever, let's pretend the stakes are high. Now we get to the final episode ever of Fetch with Ruff Ruffman. This time they're trying to get to the Purr headquarters, which is hidden in a water park, the last place you'd look for cats. Cute. And because they're on this mission, while also doing the eliminations, the eliminated contestants don't get sent away like they did the last 2 seasons. Jay is thrilled about getting to hang out with his friends, even though he lost. But I have to say, Mark's defeat against Marco was tragic. That tower falling like all of his hopes and dreams. I almost cried.
That's buddy.
Now, here's where things get real. The kids discover Studio P, which looks exactly like Studio G, because Go Get It copied everything. The 2 cat hosts of Go Get It show up in Ruff's doghouse claiming they want to help, but they just tell the kids to deactivate the mind control device.
Good luck, guys.
Emmy and Marco deactivate the device, and only then do the cats, in air quotes, reveal themselves to be Ruff's parents deep in disguise. Okay, so why did you abandon him? They say they're spies, but surely this plan didn't take 30 years. And the grandma this whole time encouraged this behavior, probably enabling Ruff's older sister to do the same thing to her son, Glenn. They don't try to justify why they left. They just say they're spies. That doesn't explain anything. It would have made so much more sense if they were mind controlled by Purr, and the final challenge was getting them out of that trance. But no, every single dog in Ruff's life has failed him. And this is the best part that I saved for the end. Jim Conroy not only voices Ruff, but every single one of Ruff's relatives. Was this all in Ruff's mind? Was he actually fighting his inner demons personified as family members? With Granny, of course, being Wrath, Glenn is Sloth, Pride is the fashion designer cousin, Envy is his brother, Greed is the gambling one, fucking Lust is that Swedish singer, and Gluttony? I don't know. The entire show, Ruff was being fat-shamed, but yeah, nobody talks about how upsetting the family stuff is, and we're still not done. This show has a lot of spin-offs. Humble Media Genius came out in 2014. This was made up of 13 little shorts where Ruff tries to teach us about technology. It was cute. The first one about texting has this ongoing gag where Ruff texts Blossom everything he's doing and she just ignores him. We have the grandma casually abusing him again.
Oh, so you're a Humble Media Genius now? Yep. And hello, Grandma. Now, where was I? Oh, yeah. Texting. So, is this like a real job?
But luckily in this, Ruff is an unbothered king. He cuts the conversation with his grandma short and shreds it up on the dance floor. Look at him go. In the short Photos for You, Chet accidentally doxed himself by posting a photo of cheese. So maybe he is careless. I jumped the gun on him being a bad guy. In the shorts, he's really cute. Ruff and him are like besties now. Since this series about technology is 10 years old, a lot of things are very outdated.
And a lot of you said you use Google and Bing.
They did have a PSA to make sure you don't text while driving or drive distracted, which is really good. But here's where things get a bit In 2024, Humble Media Genius came back for 5 shorts, and it was focused on AI. So firstly, before we even discuss all of that, we have a new blue cat named Lupin, and she's pretty cute, actually. But it's just weird that they don't explain where Blossom is. A very interesting start to this series is trying to push technology specifically made to replace people. Usually I'd say this is a bad thing, but he was trying to replace his grandma, which makes sense. The second short is so much worse. Ruff uses AI to write a poem for him. And there's another short about AI art. Super against the trial and error approach we've seen time and time again on Fetch. It feels like being spoon-fed half-baked crap from a machine that consumes energy at a much higher rate is kind of against everything we've learned from the original show. The one bright side to this series, I'm sorry to be this person, it doesn't undo the pro-AI art propaganda, but I really like Lupin. I feel like Lupin and Ruff have great chemistry. Them asking if they're in a rut before going out on a date and having game nights together. Them looking sadly at each other when Robot Granny tells them to clean up because they're slobs. She encourages his singing and sings with him. The people that ship Ruff with Blossom are gonna hate me for this, but I think Lupin is a much better fit. Ruff already deals with passive-aggressive and aggressive shit from his family. He just needs someone who doesn't play games and is overly encouraging. It's unfortunate that the nicest and best companion for Ruff had to come out of this pro-AI miniseries. It was also brought to my attention that this series, Humble Media Genius, seems to be ongoing because there is an online form you could fill out to ask Ruff questions about technology. It's nice that they're taking viewer feedback and viewer questions. If it continues, maybe they could even talk about the negative sides of AI. It would be refreshing for them to update that perspective. The Ruff Ruffman Show was another short series from 2017. It's kind of like Reverse Fetch, where live-action children call in with questions or problems, and the animated characters get to work. In the great Ruff-A Scruff-A cook-off, Ruff wants to start his own food delivery service, and very convenient timing because these kids need an event catered. Scruff competes with Ruff because that's their whole relationship. In Pet Sitting Tip Part 1, Bluff the gambler cousin tricks Ruff again into watching his rhino. You know, same old, same old. There's a spin-off, and I use that term very loosely, that follows 3 hamsters, Tasha, Sadie, and Mateo, and they live in this school where Ruff works as a janitor. This makes me a little sad. It feels like Ruff's game show dreams are over. I don't know, and this is kind of confirmed in episode 1 of Fetchtok. In 2022, Jim Conroy made little TikToks with cutouts of Ruff, just like they did in production, to announce challenges for people to compete in. Season 4 winner Liza competed in most of them, which is really fun, and his reaction to her, Bethany, and Brian was so cute.
Bethany! Liza! This is amazing. Brian's the one that did the challenge! He's got a beard now.
In episode 1, Ruff said that he had to sell his kite after the show got canceled because he had to make money. In the announcement of this miniseries, Ruff said,
"Problem is, I'm a cartoon dog who invested in late-stage crypto. I don't have the budget for another TV show, which, let's be honest, that's right on brand for me."
Yes, that is so on brand. This is the most accurate representation of Ruff. Whether you like it or not, he absolutely would. And I love that we're being honest about that. I feel like the AI series would be better if maybe Ruff was gung-ho about AI and then somebody reeled him in like, actually, Let's think this through. Anyway, back to Fetchtok. I love his commentary on these submissions. We now know that Ruff is a furry ally.
Can't tell if you're a dog, a wolf, or a breakfast cereal mascot. And I have to say, you sound like John Mulaney.
I love to see it. With all the recent spin-offs they've had, PBS does have a website full of games, my favorite of which is The Cookie Creator. I had a bit too much fun.
Bazinga!
Finding different rations to make different cookies. And I also loved giving his fuckshit family a piece of my mind. Yeah, these are the perfect cookies for Grandma. Enjoy them, you bitch. Now what can I... This one says, the cops are coming. Enjoy life in prison, you scumbag. But these aren't the original games. I joined the Ruff Ruffman Discord and found a lot of very interesting things archived. At the tip of the iceberg are these beautiful storyboards. This is where I was in the iceberg, and this is where I wanted to be. I saw what looked like screenshots of Ruff's diary. He turned himself into a pickle, and inconsistent lore about the siblings. Let's go, gamers! The old website is archived, which includes a whole podcast in character. Listen to this first episode where Ruff is just struggling to explain the pun.
And that's not pod as in pod, but pod as in pod. Yeah. Maybe I should call this a dog cast.
A knee slapper, to be sure. We see just how many games there were, but unfortunately a lot of them don't work because of Flash Player's death. So pissed off. But here's where the true gold mine is. His blog. It's called The Scoop. In one of his posts, 7 Things You Don't Know About Me, one of the facts he shares is that instead of Fetch with Ruff Ruffman, at one point my show was going to be called Go Get It Boy, Go Get It. Oh good boy, who's a good boy, who's a good boy. So funny, right? But it just confirms that Go Get It stole even their name from him. And I just have to share Ode for Grandma because it is genuinely so sad. It starts off, I love everything about my grandma. Well, almost everything. The truth is, he was going to truly express himself, talk about how much she upsets him and the emotional toll it's taken on him, but she interrupts him. The truth about what, Ruffy? Oh, Grandma, you surprised me. What are you doing on my blog? Overstepping. But she gets accusatory. You don't want your own grandmother on your blob? What kind of grandson would kick his grandmother off his blob? That's blog. And of course I want you on my blog. It's just that, just what? Grandma's waiting, dear. I hate her. Well, for starters, I didn't know you knew how to work a computer, and here you are hacking into my blog. Believe me, knitting you that nice sweater you never wear was a lot harder than cracking your blob's security. Anyway, don't mind me. I'll be as quiet as you tell the world all the things you don't love about your grandma. So now, Ruff is being berated. He's backed into a corner, so he starts to backpedal. Oh, don't be silly, Grandma. All I was going to say was, the only thing I don't love about you is that, you live so far away. Otherwise, you're perfect. I can move closer. Oh, well, that sounds like a lot of trouble for you. It's no trouble at all. Oh, what's your favorite horror scene? My favorite horror scene is finding an archive of this abused dog's internal dialogue, and he can't even escape there. I slap myself. Now here's the 2-part blog post about all the siblings he doesn't have. Oh right, 7 siblings, which means coming up with 7 birthday presents. So let's see. Roscoe Ruffman. Roscoe is a sheep herding dog. Or actually, he was. Now he herds ostriches. Huh? And the next time he visits, I'm not allowing those ostriches into my house like last time, because that went badly. What's up with all of the relatives bringing their wild animals that are probably illegal to own into Ruff's house? Sir Wag-a-Lot Ruffman. Waggy works as a kibble tester for a popular dog food company. Cute, that's cute. And then he's trying to give this imaginary brother Wag-a-Lot that disgusting food concoction he couldn't sell from season 1. Cute. Scrumdiddlyumptious Ruffman. The Scrumpster. That's so funny. The Scrumpsters always had ambitions to be a lap dog, but he just kept growing and growing. Now he's a floor dog. Crackers Ruffman, adopted by a famous rock star. Petunia O'Daffodil Ruffman. No, this is the second Petunia of the series. Scruff is supposed to be dating a Petunia. I don't like that. Barky von Barkstein Ruffman. He's still in obedience school. And then Scruff. So interesting. Roxy's not here. So This must have come out after season 2, so Scruff was introduced, and they thought they could apply the cousin logic here and just throw in as many as possible, but unless they're all older siblings, like way, way older siblings, you know what? That kind of works, though. Oh, no, sorry. They're all born on the same day. No, that doesn't work. That doesn't work. I was like, oh, if they're all a lot older and, like, Ruff's parents had him and Scruff as an accident and then, you know, ended up being pieces of shit, that makes sense. But all of them being born at the same time? Absolutely not. And then he always signs off, always fascinating, always entertaining, always Ruff Ruffman, which I'm sorry is so endearing. He's such a showboat. This blog, I could honestly make a whole second video dissecting everything about this, but I gotta cut it off here. I really hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know what episode of Fetch with Ruff Ruffman is your favorite. PBS needs our help now more than ever, so please be sure to check out the links in my description, letting US representatives know that it is important for unbiased news and childhood development, and consider donating to the public broadcasting station as well. Have a great day, butt lovers. My next video, I'm talking about Word Girl again. What a blast from the past. My first ever lore video. Everybody say, "Aw!" I think I was a little aggressive in this one. Hope I didn't scare you, and please have a great day. I demand it. Ah!